places Sandy Bay in Clarendon and Bamboo River, St. Thomas on lockdown for the next 14 days. U.S. Embassy releases Level 3 advisory cautioning against travel to Jamaica due to COVID-19 concerns. Still tonight, popular Portland businessman taken into custody in connection with his wife's murder in July. And police list 23-year-old RASCINE MOXAM, otherwise known as Box from St. Elizabeth, as a person of interest. Good evening. Following the recent upsurge of COVID-19 cases in the parishes of Clarendon and St. Thomas, the government has placed the communities of Sandy Bay in Clarendon and Bamboo River, Church Corner, St. Thomas on lockdown for the next 14 days. The community quarantines that took effect yesterday were implemented amidst a report from the Health Ministry that over 20 positive cases of COVID-19 were detected in the area in less than a week. Also, 2 patients have been admitted to the Maypen Hospital. The ministry says investigations and contact tracing were conducted, which revealed 6 positive contacts of the 2 cases now in hospital. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, during yesterday's press briefing, explained the importance of community surveillance and the limitations of the quarantines.
You would have seen earlier today or yesterday that we declared a community under quarantine, and this was a community in Clarendon. Today, we will also declare another community, this time in the parish of St. Thomas, which has not seen much activity before, but we are now seeing activity which is cause for concern. Now, prior to the end of the period, a review will be conducted to determine whether the quarantine period will need to be extended. During the period of the all-day curfew, residents in the communities specified for quarantine will be allowed to leave home on what we refer to as shopping days. And generally, the shopping days are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. On the shopping days, persons are allowed to leave home to go to the closest practicable location to obtain food, medical supplies, access financial services, and then immediately return home. Although, due to the unfolding circumstances in the St. Thomas communities, tomorrow, Friday, August 7, 2020, residents will have to remain indoor. But the situation is such that the community needs to be brought under control, and movement is an important part of that control.
The borders of the quarantines extend towards several neighboring communities, including Palmetto Pen, Freetown, and Palmer's Cross. The curfew started at 6 a.m. yesterday and will remain in effect until 6 a.m. on Thursday, August 20. Mayor of Maypen and the Member of Parliament for Southeast Clarendon visited the outskirts of the community yesterday. Member of Parliament for Southeast Clarendon Purnell Charles Jr. says that as of yesterday, the health officials have started contact tracing within the quarantine zone and explained the possible reasons why the community was placed under quarantine.
As of today, this quarantine zone has been implemented at 6 a.m. today, and it will run for 14 days. And the health officials will continue to do the contact tracing. We will continue to review and to administer tests so that we identify persons who are confirmed as having COVID, and we identify persons who interacted with anyone who is confirmed with COVID. The goal is very simple: for us to prevent any further spread, for us to treat the persons who have it now, and to make sure that we continue to have the protection of the people of Jamaica, and that the health and welfare of the people is paramount.
In speaking with our news team, Mayor of Maypen, Winston Mirage, is asking residents to cooperate with health officials as they do the necessary testing in the communities.
There are a number of cases of COVID-19 that have been coming up here positive in this area, and the health department indicated that they are trying to get some people to do COVID-19 tests, and they refuse. And they are concerned that we have some foreigners who came for some funerals here, and as a result of that, they have left the virus all over the place. So they had to make the move to quarantine this geographical area of Sandy Bay. I'd just like to ask the residents within this quarantine zone to just cooperate with the health department. They're going to be moving in and they're going to do what they have to do to ensure that the spread is contained. Well, the health department people are here. They will be doing a house to house and they will try to test as much as possible the people within the specific area that is being targeted. And so we just have to cooperate with them for this period.
Still making news tonight following yesterday's announcement of 30 new COVID-19 cases in Jamaica. The U.S. Embassy has released a Level 3 advisory urging travelers to reconsider travel to Jamaica due to health and safety measures and COVID-related conditions. Meanwhile, the Minister of Tourism, Edmund Bartlett, earlier today responded to the advisory, explaining what it meant for the tourism sector.
Now, Level 3 is a step below. It is not saying you mustn't travel to those countries. What it is saying is that care has to be taken like they do for all the other countries. And guess who's also in Level 3? The UK and Canada, you know, and other countries like those, right? Barbados and much of the other Caribbean countries, all in Level 3. So it is not a situation where this is positioning Jamaica in a particularly negative light, and that the impact will be deleterious to our tourism. In fact, the other countries that are in our same level compare well in terms of everything, and they are big countries like the UK, as I said, Canada and Germany and so on. So we don't see this initially as being an indication as to, you know, a pushback on Jamaica's travel and tourism, for example.
Meanwhile, the former Minister of Health and Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern, Fenton Ferguson, is expressing concerns about the recent increase in COVID-19 cases, especially in his constituency.
I have been told that while up to last night, the nation was at 905 confirmed cases for the country. Now, in the last week and a half, up to this morning, the parish is experiencing 16 confirmed cases from reports I have received. And from all indication, those numbers could be moving.
Dr. Ferguson also expressed concerns about the readiness of hospitals to deal with the cases.
I believe even with the present numbers, the hospital would not be in a position to undertake patients coming in, and therefore that would require transfer to Kingston and elsewhere. We have to get back the public education program, and when I say get back, I am a part of it as in my own appeal, and must be a part of it as the Member of Parliament, in getting the word out to say that COVID is alive and well in St. Thomas. And in so doing, the ministry must ramp up its public education program, while at the same time doing what is necessary. And I'm not asking for any draconian measures. I'm just asking for what is necessary and what the health authority believes and the citizens of St. Thomas believe would be in their best interests.
In related news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in a statement yesterday, said the government has used enough persuasion to convince residents to adhere to safety protocols for COVID-19 and will now move on to tougher measures, including prosecution. The Prime Minister said stricter measures will be coming for churches, funerals, the entertainment industry, beaches and rivers, and added that residents, including non-citizens who are returning home, will now have to submit to home quarantine.
The churches in general, particularly those that are part of the umbrella group and other established churches, have, by and large, supervised themselves, and many of them have put in place measures over and above what we have put in the Disaster Risk Management Act. Our challenge, however, are with those churches who continue to operate in such a way as to totally disregard the measures that are in place. We have a case of a pastor who returned to the country, a Jamaican pastor, and held services, held conventions. When we visited the church, the reports we had was that none of the protocols were being followed. The cabinet has contemplated stricter measures, and we have narrowed down the list of recommended actions that we will take.
Mr. Holness says the government will now have to move into another phase of managing the pandemic. He pointed out that Jamaica's infection rate curve has remained flat up to the last 5 or 6 days, and while the infection rate remains below the threshold for certain actions to be taken, the recent surge is of concern. In news from St. Elizabeth, the police have listed 23-year-old RASCINE MOXAM, otherwise called Box of Frenchman District in Treasure Beach, as a person of interest. MOXAM is being asked to make contact with the detectives at the Black River Criminal Investigation Branch. Also, the police are asking anyone able to assist detectives in locating RASCINE MOXAM to contact the detectives at 876-965-2026. In news from Portland, a popular businessman from the parish, Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald, has been taken into custody by the police in connection with the murder of his wife in the month of July. Reports also revealed that 2 other men who have been implicated in the murder of the businesswoman were also taken into custody with MacDonald on Wednesday afternoon by detectives from the Major Investigation Division. Reports coming into our news center are that MacDonald had been transported to Kingston, where he will be interviewed in the presence of his lawyer. It is also being reported that investigators are considering a review of the case file of the May 2009 murder of his first wife, Marlene MacDonald. His most recent wife, Toni MacDonald, was discovered with her throat cut and her body burnt inside her motor vehicle that was abandoned in Sherwood Forest on July 20. In news from Clarendon, the police have arrested a man in connection with a fatal motor vehicle crash that occurred in the parish on Wednesday night. The man's identity has not been revealed because he has not yet been charged. However, he is to be charged soon for the death of 60-year-old Melvin Hines. Mr. Hines died after a truck hit the vehicle in which he and his wife were traveling. His wife has been hospitalized in critical condition. Reports from the police coming into our news center are that the young man took the truck for a drive without the knowledge of the owner. The truck was at the mechanic for repairs. Another vehicle that was empty at the time was also damaged in the crash. The driver of the truck reportedly fled the scene of the crash and was briefly on the run before he was nabbed by the police. In other news tonight, attorney at law Marcia Smith has been introduced as the new Jamaica Labour Party JLP caretaker candidate for the North East St. Anne constituency. Smith was endorsed and was introduced to the constituency by Prime Minister Andrew Holness following a tour of the area on Wednesday. Smith, who is the daughter of veteran attorney at law Ernest Smith, will replace the late Shahini Robinson as the JLP's candidate for the constituency in the upcoming general elections. Robinson, who served as Member of Parliament for the constituency for 19 years and also as the former Minister of Labour and Social Security, died on May 29 after a lengthy battle with cancer. Meanwhile, in light of a looming election, co-director of the People's National Party's election campaign, Philip Paulwell says the party is ready.
The People's National Party is ready for elections anytime that the Prime Minister chooses. We have our 63 candidates in place. We have our divisional candidates in place. We have our campaign team. We have our campaign projects. We have a whole slew of activities both on the ground, in the air. This time around we're going to be using a lot more technology, especially because of the advent of COVID-19. We are not going to be able to assemble large crowds. My hope, and we are in touch with the political ombudsman, is to ensure that we have a clean, fair campaign where people will be free to express their views, where candidates will be allowed to go anywhere in the country, and most importantly, where the voters will be able to express themselves without fear.
Former General Secretary of the PNP, Paul Burke, in speaking with our news team, expressed that the party has a strong winning chance.
I think we are prepared. Every day allows us to become more prepared. Every day, election day becomes one day closer. I don't speculate at all about election day. Every day I know it's a day closer. And every day I know we are being better prepared for that eventful day. I think we have a strong winning chance. It is not a broad pathway, but it's not a narrow pathway.
And those were the stories making news. I'll return with the recap. We'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.
Jamaica Weekly, the voice of Jamaica, is Jamaica's newest and most exciting full-color tabloid newspaper, packed with news, sports, entertainment, and a whole lot more. Jamaica Weekly is free and is distributed every Thursday to businesses and consumers island-wide. Pick up your free copy of Jamaica Weekly today at major retail outlets near you, supermarkets, pharmacies, and service stations. For more information, call 876-616-3031. Jamaica Weekly. Pick up your free copy today.